Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and today's video is going to be a fun one. Today we're going to the Great League, and I am building a Pokemon that I have never ever built before in all my years of playing the Go Battle League. And that Pokemon is Chansey. Chansey is known for one thing, and that's being the bulkiest possible Great League Pokemon. But its fast move is so bad that it basically sees no play. Today, however, I'm bringing Chansey to the Great League. I'm sitting around 3250 ELO, which is top 200 in the world, and I'm going to see if I can get some wins with this Pokemon. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and let's go Chansey. Hopping into the first match, we've got Mirror Lead Shadow Annihilate versus Shadow Annihilate. Now, I run one of the highest possible attack spreads for Annihilate, meaning that it's very, very difficult for my Annihilate to lose charge attack priority. If I do, it's probably going to be because we have the same attack stat. So I am going to be confidently throwing my Rage Fist as soon as I get there, and to my surprise, I actually lose charge attack priority. My opponent is running a monstrously high attack Annihilate as well, but I have a plan. I'm going to build up to the Rage Fist and then catch it onto Chansey. So I farm all the way up, we switch into Chansey, it's a simultaneous switch. My opponent read that I was switching out, and they saved that Rage Fist for later. And now it's time. The unkillable egg himself, Chansey, hits the field. Lapras goes for a Sparkling Aria, and that just does a truly hilarious amount of damage. Lapras will fire off another move, but Chansey just does not care. Since Chansey is so bulky, it has a very low attack stat, meaning I'm going to need to throw Hyper Beams if I want to deal any kind of meaningful damage. So I fire off the Hyper Beam, that's going to connect. And now I'm hoping that it will put the Lapras into Rage Fist range, as I would love to try and snipe with the move that I have on Annihilate. There's the snipe into Annihilate, firing off the Rage Fist. Can Lapras hang on here? Lapras barely hangs on. They switch out into Dedenne, and I get farmed down. But bad news for Dedenne is I have Shadow Steelix. Dedenne is completely walled. Dedenne is a very inflexible Pokemon. It does not have a lot of play into its counters. And that's good news for me here, because Steelix is about to absolutely devastate Dedenne with an Earthquake. They go for another Play Rough, and it just simply does not matter. Their switch clock is not up. They cannot save Dedenne. Earthquake picks up the KO. Their Annihilate does have a move. If I see them bring it in, I have to try and catch. In comes Annihilate. There's the switch to Chansey, and we're able to catch the Rage Fist. But no, they threw the Ice Punch expecting the switch. There's the switch into Lapras. Lapras will go for the Sparkling Aria into Chansey. Can Chansey hang on? It does. Chansey gets the Zen Headbutt down. This is truly an unkillable egg. 1 HP on the Chansey and a Dazzling Gleam. Down goes Annihilate, and that's a good game. We move to the next match, leading Shadow Annihilate into Unova Stunfisk. Stunfisk, definitely a Pokemon my Steelix doesn't want to see, so I definitely don't mind seeing it on the lead. Stunfisk will fire off the Mud Bomb. That's going to inflict quite a lot of damage. Safe switch into Galarian Moltres, and this works out great for me as I can bring in Steelix. Unfortunately, my Steelix is actually walled here, but to ensure they can't get to a second charge move, I am just going to go for the Psychic Fangs. My opponent will probably now go for the Brave Bird to try and limit my farm, because they would definitely prefer that I don't make an Earthquake into their Stunfisk. Back in comes the Stunfisk. I'm going to commit to an Earthquake to force them to fire off the Mud Bomb, and now I can bring back in the Annihilate. I banked all my energy on Annihilate when they brought out the Moltres, so I should still have an Ice Punch banked. While Ice Punch won't knock out here, it's going to do a lot of damage. My opponent does put up a shield, making me regret not going for the Rage Fist, but I just wanted to guarantee big damage or get that first shield. They throw a Discharge here. That just covers for a catch in case I have a Flyer in the back. And now I'm just going for Ice Punch number 2. This Ice Punch will land, picking up the knockout in the back is Golisopod. I switch into the Chansey, but this is a Fury Cutter Golisopod. And Fury Cutter means that my opponent actually has fast move pressure here. If this was Shadow Claw, the game would be over, but with Fury Cutter, my opponent still has ways to fight back in this game. Here, I decide to not build up to the Hyper Beam, instead just going for the Dazzling Gleam. And that's when I learned that Dazzling Gleam from a Chansey does basically no damage, so I probably should have built up. Now this is going to make things just a little bit more complicated. My Chansey is losing health. They are whittling away at the Chansey, but I still have the Shadow Annihilate. Annihilate will heavily resist the Fury Cutters. In comes Annihilate. These counters are adding up, and I am going to put up a shield. I need this counter damage and to force my opponent to throw energy, which they do, but the counter lands, and now can Chansey Zen Headbutt down Golisopod? They still have the shield up. In comes Chansey. Chansey, can it get the farm down? Yes, it can. They do not get the back-to-back Aqua Jets. and somehow we escape with another win. Moving into game number 3, Shadow Annihilate into Shadow Marowak. Considering I have a Steelix in the back, very happy to catch the Marowak on the lead. You can tell how glassy my Annihilate is in terms of its stats by how much damage I take from these Mud Slaps. These Mud Slaps absolutely destroy my Annihilate. I am going to have to give up both of my shields on the Annihilate, but guaranteeing that I can get rid of this Marowak, which would be a huge issue for my Steelix, would be a big plus. Basically, anytime I see a Marowak lead, I assume it's the Marowak Fortress Bastiodon team, and if that's the case, then my Steelix is an absolute nightmare for their backline. They bring in Fortress, they get shredded by counters, and now it's time. I'm bringing Chansey into the Fortress. The reason I'm doing this is because if it's Bastiodon in the back, I want to be able to hit that Bastiodon with an Earthquake from Steelix. My opponent is opting for the Sand Tomb route, so they're just trying to get as much bug bite damage as possible. And I imagine their thought process is that Chansey's attack is so low that they shouldn't bother to lower it. But here's the thing, they're Shadow Fortress. I think Hyper Beam will actually do a solid amount of damage here. The Sand Tomb is going to land. I get to the Hyper Beam. Let's see it. Chansey, show them what you've got. Hyper Beam is going to land. Big damage onto the Fortress. Fortress now, honestly, in danger of getting farmed down here. Fortress will fire off the last second charge attack. It's going to be the Sand Tomb once again. It does not KO. In comes the Steelix, but we don't get the farm down. They live on 1 HP to make a Sand Tomb, and now my Steelix is debuffed. In comes Bastiodon. The good news for me is that Bastiodon, even with my defense being debuffed, should not be able to one-shot with a Flamethrower. So now I'm going for the Jugular here, going for the Earthquake. It connects into Bastiodon. We get the farm down, and we're able to secure the win. We've got a very tough opponent in the next match, Palasha, and it's a bit of a tricky lead, leading the Shadow Annihilate into Galarian Moltres. I reach the Ice Punch when she makes it to the fly, and I will go for the bait, anticipating a shield. Rage Fist gets no shielded. What a bait call by Palasha, and I'm immediately put on the defensive. I will put up a shield and look to farm down, but she's going to switch out into her own Annihilate, and this is pretty bad news for me. I'm going to fire off a Rage Fist here so I can grab the shield, and then I'm going to bring in Chansey. Chansey will be taking super effective damage from counters, but most Annihilates should be on Rage Fist and Ice Punch. And if that's the case, then Rage Fist can obviously boost up the Annihilate's counters, but it's double resisted, and Ice Punch is not a particularly hard-hitting move into a Chansey. So my Chansey is actually holding up better than I thought into a boosted Annihilate, and now I will go for the Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam into the Annihilate. It's going to land, picking up the knockout. In comes Moltres. I'm hoping Moltres will get greedy and that I can get to the Dazzling Gleam. Come on, Chansey. Get there. But she even knows Dazzling Gleam Chansey counts. Oh my goodness, I'm in shambles. In comes the Steelix in the back, is a Shadow Marowak, and I have one win con. It's the Hail Mary Earthquake. I'm going for it here. Come on, call the Psychic Fangs bait. Earthquake does get shielded. We have no win con, and I will resign the match. We move to the next match, and we see a very familiar lead. Shadow Annihilate into Shadow Marowak. Shadow Marowak once again staying in. If this is the same team as last time with Fortress Bastiodon in the back, then I'm going to have a pretty significant team comp advantage. Rage Fist does get shielded, and I'm more than happy to commit both my shields just to ensure that I can get Marowak off the field and hopefully set up Steelix to sweep. Last time, the Marowak decided not to use the final shield, and I was able to get some very valuable counters onto that Fortress as they went for the Bug Bite farm down, so I'm hoping history does repeat itself. Rage Fist, again, will get no shielded. In comes a Moltres, so it's not the team that I was expecting. I send in Steelix, they're going to bring in Lapras, and oh my goodness, Lapras is about to have a very bad day, so it's not the team that I was anticipating, but in comes Chansey, and good luck, Lapras. Lapras is debuffed between Zen Headbutt, one of the worst fast moves in the game, is actually doing damage to this Lapras. Lapras can fire off Sparkling Aria after Sparkling Aria, and it's just simply not going to be enough. Chansey getting closer and closer to that Dazzling Gleam. I want to have a Dazzling Gleam stored for when they send out Moltres. Aria lands, there is the Moltres. I'm going straight for the Dazzling Gleam, and then it's back into the Steelix. Dazzling Gleam into the Moltres, does get no shielded. In comes Steelix. Steelix will get the full farm down. There's no hope for my opponent, so they will concede the match. Speaking of no hope, we lead Shadow Annihilate into Shadow Dusknoir, and this is an absolute nightmare. I safe switch into the Shadow Steelix. I don't really have a good answer to this Pokemon. They stay in to fire off a Shadow Punch, and now bring out Talonflame. This is a scenario where I wish I had Breaking Swipe, because if you Psychic Fangs into Breaking Swipe, I can probably pull a shield or get the knockout here, as Breaking Swipe does more than Psychic Fangs. But unfortunately, I do not have it. Talonflame hangs on very low HP, and I'm gonna have to sacrifice my Annihilate. Unfortunately, my Annihilate has absolutely no play into the Dust Noir, so the correct play is just to sacrifice it to a Brave Bird and try and sweep with Chansey. What do they have in the back? They have the Dust Noir lead. They have Blastoise in the back. Blastoise can Skull Bash and boost its defense to where it's unkillable. I'm not going to waste anyone's time. I will concede the match. Much better lead in the next match. Shadow Annihilate into Dugong. I'm not going to throw my Rage Fist here. A lot of Dugong leads, if they're staying in, they have an Annihilate in the back, and if so, I want to keep my energy. They're going to pivot, not into an Annihilate, but into a Shadow Marowak. I want to ramp up the pressure on the Marowak, so I will actually use all of my energy as I fire off the back-to-back Rage Fists. And now, once my opponent uses their final shield, it's Chansey time. Chansey will very, very comfortably survive multiple Bone Clubs. The only tricky thing is they'll be able to save the Marowak before I can make a move. Because after only 4 charge moves are thrown, the switch timer will be up. So they throw the Bone Club, there is the switch timer, in comes Dunsparce. And now we see why my opponent couldn't switch out of that lead matchup right away. They're ABA weak to fighting. What kind of team is this? Oh my goodness. They fire off another Drill Run. I'm approaching 100 energy, so I will go for the Hyper Beam. I do see a win con in this game, but it's going to be tricky. At some point, I'm going to need to switch into the Annihilate. This is going to bait back out the Marowak, because I need to be able to KO the Marowak with Chansey. So I'll wait for them to throw a move, and then when they do, it's going to be Annihilate time. They go for the Drill Run, in comes Annihilate, the counter goes through, they switch into the Marowak, they farm me down, but that is okay, because I just needed Marowak back on the field, and I need Chansey to hang on here and get to a Dazzling Gleam. It's going to be close. Chansey does get to the Dazzling Gleam. That is massive. This Dazzling Gleam should be getting them very, very low. Marowak farms down. They survive on 1 HP, and they leave with the Bone Club. I'm forced to burn my final shield, and I'm going to need Steelix to clutch. I know that they do not have any energy on that Dugong, although they are on their 4 cycle. They're going to bring in the Dugong, trying to get to a move. I am not going to risk the Dugong getting to a move, so I'm just going to pick up the knockout with Psychic Fangs. Psychic Fangs will pick up the KO. In comes Dunsparce. Dunsparce firing off a Drill Run. This is big damage into the Steelix, but they need a second Drill Run. Can they get there? I'm going to make sure that I throw on good timing, getting all my Thunder Fangs. Is this Psychic Fangs range? Psychic Fangs knocks out the Dunsparce. That was an interesting game. ABA weak to Annihilate, leading into Annihilate, but a Shadow Marowak into a team that has no Marowak answer. We move to the next game, and it's going to be Annihilate into Lantern. My Rage Fist usually does not threaten a shield, but I can set up a farm down after if they let it go. My opponent knows this, so they will put up a shield. I'm very happy to grab an early shield from Lantern, because now I feel like I'm not at a disadvantage giving up a shield myself. I will look to overfarm. There's a catch attempt onto Galarian Moltres, and things could not be going much better than this. If I don't throw the Psychic Fangs, I believe they are able to make a fly into a Brave Bird. So by throwing the Psychic Fangs, it's really going to limit my opponent. They're just going to undertap a Brave Bird here, get the damage that they can, and try and limit the farm for Steelix. Steelix is still pretty close to a Psychic Fangs. Back in comes the Lantern, but Lantern's going to lose almost its entire health bar if this move lands. Psychic Fangs connects. Lantern would have got farmed down unless they threw, so they're forced to burn a Surf, and that is a lot of energy for Lantern to have to use. In comes Annihilate. In the back is Shadow Scizor. Scizor will have to respect the Rage Fist. It just does too much damage. The Rage Fist lands. I throw one counter, and now in comes Chansey. One of the Great League's tankiest Pokemon versus one of its classiest, but Scizor has an unbelievably good moveset. Scizor will get to ramp up its damage more and more with each Trailblaze. Scizor going to try and boost its way through as Chansey just tries to get closer and closer to the Dazzling Gleam. Chansey is going to get to the Dazzling Gleam. I throw on alignment just to ensure the move will land before the switch timer comes up. The Dazzling Gleam lands, but it does not KO. Scizor is going to need to get to 2 Night Slashes. I will shield the first. Can we get the farm down here? Shadow Scizor does not get to the move. Chansey farms down. In comes Lantern. That gets farmed down too. And that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, Shadow Annihilate into Clodsire. Not a great lead for the Annihilate. Annihilate can hit for super effective damage with Ice Punch, but I would usually always prefer to be the Claude in this matchup. Clodsire is going to no-shield the Ice Punch. And now I'm going to have to respect the Earthquake. My Shadow Annihilate is very, very glassy, so an Earthquake would inflict devastating damage. In comes Feraligatr, but this is a Pokemon that I can hit with a Chansey. Rage Fist will get the shield, and now it's time. In comes Chansey, and Feraligator Shadow Claws are double resisted here. They can fire off Hydro Cannon after Hydro Cannon. Chansey just simply will not care. Chansey more than happy to just Zen Headbutt away, getting their health bar lower and lower and lower. Chansey continues to farm. Another Hydro Cannon reached by this Feraligator. Chansey again with the no shield. When will we see the switch out? In comes Mandibuzz. It's actually a Snarl Mandibuzz, and here I make a critical error. I never should have CMP tied, because that's going to desync the switch clocks quite significantly. Dazzling Gleam not going to do a meaningful amount of damage either, and in comes Steelix. Thunderfangs are super effective. Oh my goodness, a catastrophic error from the opponent. They throw the Dark Pulse instantly, I guess trying to CMP tie with a potential Breaking Swipe in case it debuffed, but I don't have Breaking Swipe. And now they throw on Alignment again, and oh my, they are just giving so many free Thunderfangs to the Steelix. In comes Clodsire, no baits, going straight for the Earthquake. It connects, down goes the Clodsire, in comes Feraligatr, and there's just no way for my opponent to win this game now. The Chansey is still around, it's still lurking. I'm able to pick up the KO, in comes the Mandibuzz, and my opponent will resign the match. Towards the end of a Go Battle League season, once the move updates are announced, a lot of the times it can feel like a waiting game, just waiting for the new season, for the excitement to start. So I decided I was going to try and have some fun and run Chansey, and it ended up being way more fun than I expected, to be honest. As I mentioned at the start, Chansey is not a Pokemon you should run if you care about your ELO. It has massive, massive bulk, but it is one of the worst movesets in the game. It's slow to get to moves, it does very little fast move damage. It's a troll Pokemon at best. My sets with it, as I mentioned, I was very even. I don't think I had a set better than 3-2, and I don't think I had a set worse than 2-3. So overall, basically about even for the day, which considering I was battling in the 3250s, I will definitely take considering I had Chansey on my squad. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this season and for watching this video. If you enjoy content like this, please do consider leaving a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because I'm going to be posting a ton of videos once the new season drops, testing out all the new mons, figuring out what's good and what's not. And an extra special thank you, as always, to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.